Empires of Araxis Prime, once gleaming beacons of hope and prosperity, now stood fractured against the evening sky. Smoke billowed from countless impact craters across the capital city's surface, a grim testament to the 3 weeks of relentless bombardment. The Vorath Empire's warships hung in low orbit like dark predators, their silhouettes visible even through the ash-choked atmosphere. In the deepest level of the government bunker, High Chancellor Tellen watched the tactical displays with hollow eyes. The Araxian Defense Forces, never particularly strong to begin with, had been utterly decimated. Their allies, those who had signed countless treaties and trade agreements over centuries, had abandoned them one by one when the Vorath ultimatum reached their worlds. "We regret that we cannot intervene in this conflict," they all said, with barely concealed relief that the Vorath hunger for conquest had focused elsewhere.
If animals come to you without hesitation, you might be one of us.
If you've never broken a single bone, you might be one of us.
The message was clear. Better the Araxians than us. Chancellor, First Minister Varu's voice broke through Tellen's dark thoughts. The evacuation transports report only 30% capacity. Our people are refusing to leave the ancestral cities. Tellen nodded slowly, unsurprised. The Araxians had evolved as a communal species, their neural pathways literally strengthened by proximity to their kin and ancestral grounds. The thought of abandoning their homeworld was anathema to most, a fate potentially worse than death. "The sanctuary worlds have gone silent," Tellen said softly. "Even if we could evacuate everyone, I'm no longer certain anywhere would accept us." The bunker shook as another orbital bombardment struck nearby. Dust drifted from the reinforced ceiling, the lights flickering momentarily before stabilizing. "We've tried everything," Varu said, his voice cracking. "Every diplomatic channel, every former ally, every neutral power. None will stand against the Vorath." Silence fell over the command center, broken only by the soft beeps of monitoring equipment and the distant rumble of explosions. The Araxians were a peaceful species, their culture built around art, science, and cosmic harmony. For thousands of years, they had believed that diplomacy and mutual prosperity were the paths to security. They had been wrong. "There is one option we haven't considered," said a quiet voice from the communication station. All eyes turned to Kira, the youngest member of the High Council. Fresh from the academy, she had been appointed just days before the invasion began. "The humans," she said, meeting the Chancellor's gaze steadily. The word hung in the air. Humanity. The newest species on the galactic stage, having achieved faster-than-light travel barely 30 years ago. An enigma that had joined the galactic concord but remained largely isolated, establishing only minimal diplomatic and trade relations. "The humans have no stake in this conflict," Varu objected. "They have no treaties with us, no obligations. But they have no treaties with the Vorath either," Kira countered. "And they're the only major power that hasn't explicitly refused to help." Tellen frowned. "What do we even know about them? Their military capability, their technology level. Would they even have the power to stand against the Vorath if they wanted to?" Nobody answered. Humanity was a mystery. Unlike other species that proudly displayed their military might or technological achievements upon joining the galactic community, humans had been remarkably reticent about their capabilities. They maintained minimal embassies, engaged in modest trade, and spoke little of their homeworld or military strength. Some speculated this was because they were weak and primitive, despite achieving FTL travel. Others whispered darker theories, that humans were hiding something. "We have nothing to lose," Kira said finally. "Our people are dying. Our world burns, if there's even the slightest chance." Tellen stared at the tactical display, watching another section of the capital city turn red as Vorath ground forces advanced. She was right. They had nothing left to lose. "Send the message," Tellen ordered, a direct appeal to their highest authority. No diplomatic niceties, no formal language. Tell them exactly what's happening here. Tell them we're being exterminated." The communications officers worked quickly, composing a simple distress call. Unlike the formal diplomatic requests they had sent to their supposed allies, this message was raw, desperate, a dying civilization's final plea. To the government and people of Earth, we are the Araxians. The Vorath Empire is systematically destroying our world and people. All others have abandoned us. If you can help in any way, please respond. This is our final transmission. The message was sent through every channel they had, broadcast widely enough that the Vorath would certainly intercept it too. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered now except the increasingly slim hope of survival. Hours passed. The bunker shook repeatedly as Vorath bombardments intensified, cracking even the reinforced structures designed to withstand natural disasters. System after system reported failures. The end was approaching. "Chancellor," the communications officer called suddenly, voice tight with surprise. "We're receiving a response. It's from Earth." The command center fell silent. Telin straightened, ignoring the pain from 3 days without proper rest. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a human face. Female, Telin thought, though her knowledge of human sexual dimorphism was limited. The human wore a simple dark uniform with minimal insignia. "I am Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said without preamble. Her voice was calm, methodical. "We have received your distress call and verified the situation. Help is coming. Please transmit the coordinates of all Vorath fleet positions and your remaining defensive capabilities." Telin stared in disbelief. No expressions of sympathy. No diplomatic hedging. No questions about what Earth would gain from intervention. Just a simple statement that help was coming, as if it were the most natural response in the world. "Admiral," Telin managed finally. We are grateful, but you should understand the Vorath have over 200 warships in our system. They are the most powerful military force in this sector of the galaxy." The human's expression didn't change. "I am aware of the Vorath Empire's general capabilities. Please transmit the requested tactical data. Our advance forces will arrive within 12 hours. Chen out." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the Araxian leadership staring at each other in stunned silence. 12 hours. Varu finally sputtered. "That's impossible. Even with the most advanced FTL drives, the nearest human outpost is at least 3 days away at maximum speed. Perhaps they already had ships nearby." Kira suggested. "Monitoring would have detected them." The defense minister objected. "There are no human vessels within our detection range." "It doesn't matter," Telin said firmly. "Send them everything we have. All Vorath positions, all tactical data. If there's even a chance they're coming, they'll need it." The next 11 hours were a blur of continued bombardment, failing systems, and desperate coordination of the remaining Araxian forces. Few in the bunker truly believed help would arrive, but the humans' promise had given them something to focus on beyond imminent death. When the proximity alarm sounded, everyone assumed it was yet another wave of Vorath attackers. "New contacts," the sensor operator called out, voice rising in pitch. "Massive energy signatures. Numerous vessels dropping out of FTL directly in system. Vorath reinforcements." Telin asked grimly. "No," the operator replied, staring at her displays in disbelief. "Unknown configuration. They're coming in behind the Vorath fleet. Hundreds of them." The tactical display updated, showing a swarm of new signatures appearing as if from nowhere. Not dozens of ships as they had desperately hoped, but hundreds. The vessels were smaller than the massive Vorath dreadnoughts, but there were so many of them, emerging in perfect formation. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "And the Vorath fleet." "Put it through," Telin ordered, heart pounding. Admiral Chen's face appeared again, still impassive, though Telin thought she detected a hint of cold determination in those alien eyes. "Chancellor Telin, This is Admiral Chen commanding the Earth Expeditionary Fleet. We have arrived as promised and are engaging the Vorath forces. Please direct all civilian populations to shelter in place. This will be over soon." Before Talon could respond, the transmission shifted to an open channel, now broadcasting to both Araxian and Vorath forces. Chen's voice took on a harder edge. "Attention Vorath Fleet. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You are engaged in the unprovoked assault of a peaceful civilization. You will power down your weapons, withdraw your ground forces, and leave this system immediately. You have 5 minutes to comply. There will be no further warnings." In the deathly silence that followed, First Minister Varu leaned toward Talon. "They can't possibly think the Vorath will retreat," he whispered. "The Vorath Empire has never backed down from anyone." Talon could only watch the tactical display where the human fleet was spreading out in formations unlike anything he had seen before. Not the rigid, hierarchical arrangements favored by most galactic powers, but something fluid, adaptive, and utterly alien. The Vorath response came swiftly, exactly as expected. "Unknown fleet, this is High Commander Vorax of the glorious Vorath Empire. Your interference in Imperial matters is an act of war. You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed alongside the Araxian vermin." Admiral Chen didn't respond to the threat. Instead, the human fleet suddenly accelerated, their formation shifting again like a living organism. And then, the impossible happened. The first Vorath dreadnought exploded in a brilliant flash of light, followed by another and another. On the tactical display, human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, targeting the Vorath vessels with devastating accuracy. "By the ancients," breathed the defense minister, "what are we seeing?" No one answered. No one had words to describe the systematic dismantling of the most feared armada in the sector by a species that most of the galaxy had dismissed as primitive newcomers. The Araxians could only watch as humanity revealed exactly why they had kept their capabilities hidden for so long. And as the tide of battle turned decisively in a matter of minutes, a new emotion spread through the command bunker. Hope. Humanity unleashed. Supreme Warlord Vorax of the Vorath Empire had never experienced fear. In 3 centuries of military service, he had conquered 17 worlds and crushed dozens of alien species beneath his boot. The Vorath had reigned unchallenged for millennia, their biological and technological superiority proven time and again across the stars. Yet now, standing on the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, Vorax felt the unfamiliar sensation of cold dread slithering down his spine. "Status report," he barked, watching as another of his dreadnoughts erupted into an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. "We've lost 30% of the fleet, Supreme Warlord," his second-in-command reported, mandibles clicking in agitation. "These humans, they're not fighting according to any known doctrine. Their ships are too fast, too maneuverable. And their weapons." An alarm blared, cutting him off. The tactical officer's voice rose to a pitch that betrayed his panic. "Multiple human vessels approaching on attack vector. Energy signatures indicate weapons lock. Evasive maneuvers." Vorax commanded, "Bring all weapons to bear." But the Eternal Dominion, pride of the Vorath fleet and veteran of 100 conquests, was designed for overwhelming force, not agility. Before it could even begin to turn, 3 human vessels, each barely a tenth its size, executed a series of impossible maneuvers, darting through the defensive screen. On the view screen, Vorax watched in disbelief as the human ships danced around his flagship's point defense systems, moving in ways that defied conventional physics. Their hulls were dark, absorbing rather than reflecting sensor suites, making targeting almost impossible. In the Araxian command bunker, Chancellor Talon and his staff watched the battle unfold with a mixture of relief and horror. Relief at their salvation, horror at the casual ease with which the humans had dismantled the most feared military force in known space. "How is this possible?" Varu whispered. "Their technology, it's beyond anything we've seen." "I don't think it's just technology," Kira replied, studying the tactical feeds. Look at how they fight. It's not like anything we've seen before. The coordination, the adaptability. Talon nodded slowly. They fight like they've done this before. Many, many times. A sobering thought settled over the Araxian leadership. What kind of history had shaped these humans? What crucible had forged them into the force they were witnessing? 3 hours after the first human ship had appeared in the system, the battle was over. The remaining Vorath vessels had fled, jumping to FTL with whatever functionality they could cobble together. On the planet's surface, most Vorath ground forces had surrendered, faced with the choice of capitulation or orbital precision strikes. When Admiral Chen's shuttle landed outside the government bunker, Chancellor Talon led a delegation to meet their unexpected saviors. The human admiral was shorter than expected, her physical presence unimposing. Yet she carried herself with a quiet confidence that commanded respect. "Chancellor Talon," she said, inclining her head slightly, "I'm pleased to find you alive. We were concerned we might have arrived too late." "Admiral Chen," Talon replied, struggling to find adequate words. "Your arrival was miraculous. We cannot begin to express our gratitude." Chen's expression softened slightly. "No gratitude is necessary. We responded as any civilized species should when witnessing genocide." The implied rebuke to the rest of the galactic community hung in the air. "Nevertheless," Talon continued, "you have saved our civilization. The Araxian people are forever in humanity's debt, whatever we can offer in return." Chen raised a hand, stopping him. "Earth doesn't seek payment for preventing atrocities. However, we would welcome the opportunity to establish more formal relations with your people. There is much we could learn from each other." As they walked toward the bunker for more formal discussions, Kira found herself beside a young human officer. "May I ask you something?" she ventured. The human, Lieutenant Park according to his insignia, nodded. "Your ships, your tactics, they're unlike anything we've seen in the galaxy. How did humanity develop such capabilities while remaining so isolated?" Park glanced at her, then at the ruined city around them. Something dark and ancient passed behind his eyes. "We had no choice," he said simply. "Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other before we reached the stars. Our history is written in blood and fire. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times over." He paused, looking up at the sky where human vessels still patrolled. "When we finally achieved unity and looked to the stars, we hoped to find a peaceful galaxy. Instead, we discovered empires like the Vorath. We recognized the pattern immediately. We had seen it too many times in our own history." "So you prepared for war," Kira said, understanding dawning. Park nodded. "We hoped for peace, but prepared for the worst. It's what humans have always done." In the days that followed, humanitarian aid flowed to Araxis. Human medical teams treated the injured while engineering corps helped rebuild critical infrastructure. The speed and efficiency of the relief efforts was almost as impressive as the military operation had been. News of the Vorath defeat spread rapidly across the galaxy. Diplomatic channels buzzed with alarmed communications as species that had long taken the stability of power for granted suddenly found themselves reevaluating everything they thought they knew. In the Grand Council chamber of the Vorath Empire, Supreme Emperor Karvosh received the battered survivors of the expedition fleet with cold fury. "You allowed primitives to defeat the Imperial Armada," he hissed at the kneeling form of Vorax. "They were not primitives, Divine Emperor," Vorax replied, head bowed. "These humans, they fight like nothing we have encountered. Their technology, their tactics." Silence. The Emperor roared. "The Vorath Empire does not accept defeat. We will gather our forces. We will crush these humans and make an example of them to the galaxy." Grand Strategist Vex, oldest and wisest of the Emperor's advisors, stepped forward cautiously. "Divine Emperor, if I may, the humans allowed survivors to return. They deliberately let our forces retreat when they could have annihilated them completely." "Weakness," the Emperor spat. "No, your divinity," Vex countered carefully. A message. They wanted us to see what they could do. They'd wanted us to report their capabilities. The council chamber fell silent as the implication sank in. They weren't just saving the Araxians, Vex continued. They were announcing their presence to the galaxy, and specifically, to us. As the Vorath Empire grappled with its first defeat in centuries, and as the Araxian people began the long process of rebuilding, humanity quietly continued its preparations. Deep in Earth's secure facilities, diplomatic and military leaders reviewed the engagement data. The Vorath reacted exactly as predicted, the Secretary General noted. They'll be planning a retaliatory strike. Admiral Chen nodded. And we'll be ready. But more importantly, the rest of the galaxy has received our message. That humanity will not tolerate genocide, asked another council member. That, yes, Chen agreed, but also something more fundamental that the galaxy needs to understand about us. She looked around the table at the leaders of Earth's United Nations. Humanity spent thousands of years divided, fighting ourselves, nearly destroying our civilization multiple times. We learned our lessons in blood. When we finally reached the stars, we hoped to find wisdom greater than our own. Instead, we found the same patterns of domination and subjugation that nearly ended us. She paused, her expression resolute. The galaxy needs to understand this about humanity. We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders. But we have seen enough tyranny in our history to recognize it among the stars. And we will not stand by and watch it unchallenged. Across the void of space, as news of the Battle of Araxes spread from world to world, species that had long lived in fear of the Vorath began